So the next section I'm going to discuss is going to be DMA 30, and this is actually going to be sections 5 through 8. Sections 5 through 8 actually runs together. There's a lot of the same material that's going to help you with each of those sections. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of lump them all together and actually explain how all of them, looking at this one video and clip in these slides, along with my examples on my MathClass Plus, is going to help you with all those four sections. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have these slides and this video clip located in Moodle. The first thing we need to understand is these conversions. Now, these conversions will be given to you on the test. So when you're testing or taking a quiz, usually will have you don't have to memorize these. We'll provide these for you. But these are examples of unit fractions, and I'll explain where they should go in a minute. But as you can see, we see the same consistent of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and it's always a different number here as far as what it equals. Because what we're going to be doing in this section is converting from different kinds of units. For this particular one, foot to inches, and then yards to feet, and so forth. I developed what is called a cross method. So the problem that's whatever is given, we're going to put in the top left-hand corner. This is the same setup as the proportion, but I like to put it into this context to get a more clear understanding of where things go. So if you want to, when you start a problem, draw a cross, and these problems are only for when we're converting two different kinds of units together. So draw like a little cross. In the top left-hand corner, you have what is called given. That's whatever the problem that gives to you. So for an example, in here we're going to convert yards into feet. So we have 9 yards. So this is actually the given part that's given. So we're going to write that in the top left-hand corner. Down here, we're going to put the same unit as given. So whatever was given, which was yards in this case, we're going to write down at the bottom here. So another example, if I go down a little further, shows that I have 9 yards, and then down the right hand corner, I'm going to have yards again. So they should match. The reason why we want them to match because we want them to actually cancel out. By these canceling out, it'll leave us what we're trying to go to, which in this case is feet. So we're trying to go to feet, and that's the only thing that should be left unmarked or marked off. So looking at here, going to. So whatever we're going to, you write in this top corner. So just to recap, write what's given here. The same unit that's given up here, you write those together because we want these to cancel out. And whatever we're going to, you write up here. This relationship that I have in yellow, this is where the unit fraction comes into play. So these are the units that I'm going to give you as far as here. So remember, if we're kind of finding the relationship between yards and feet, there are 1 yard and 3 feet. So whatever this prop here, 1 yard, 3 feet is where we're going to place the 1 and the 3. Now, if the easiest way to solve something like this, if you do the cross method, if both of the numbers are located on the top, meaning that you kind of ignore the 1, like I said, you will always have written 1 somewhere. So when you put it into this chart here, if you just ignore the 1 and just focus on the 2 numbers, the 2 bigger numbers, if they're both on top, we're going to always multiply. If the number have to be 1 down here and 1 down here, and the 1 is up here, so ignore this 1, we're going to actually divide these 2. So the numbers on the bottom, we're going to divide. If they're both on top, then we're going to multiply. So if you remember that concept in this cross method, we won't have any problems with this section. So let's go back to the example. So here, both of the numbers are located on top. Again, ignore the 1, and both of the numbers are located on top. When multiply them together, we get 27 feet. Cross out the yards. The only thing left over is what we're looking for is feet. So let's go over a few more examples. If I put this in present mode, so we're trying to convert this time ounces into pounds. So once again, the given part is going to be the 26 ounces. We'll put that into the top left-hand corner. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to put ounces. And then what we're going to is pounds. So what's the relationship between pound and ounces? If we check our little chart. So pound, 1 pound, 16 ounces. So once we go back to here, 1 pound, 16 ounces. So because the pounds is on top, you put your 1 up here, and then the bottom down here is going to be the ounces. Remember, if these numbers are on the bottom, we're going to divide. So here is where we have ounces crosses out. We're left where pounds is what we're going to. So we're going to do 26 divided by 16 because the 16 is on the bottom. And remember, ignore the 1. Divide the 2, and this is our answer that we get here. So once again, an example, we'll write what's given. The given part is the 2,500 pesos. That also, the other part is put pesos down here and pesos down here so they both can cancel. The 1 goes on top for US dollars because we're trying to convert it into US dollars. So here, because these is located on the bottom, you divide the 2 and we get our answer for this particular one. Now, for some problems, you're going to have to actually do multiple steps. So just here's an example of one going to multiple steps. I want you to convert 7 miles per hour into yards per second. So what are we given first of all? It's the miles and the hours. These miles have to go away and these hours have to go away because what I want to left with as far as my answer has to be yards per second. So yards per second. That's my final answer and what it needs to look like. So given right here, hours down here. Now normally other problems I didn't have to remember, but remember what this per means. Per means divide. So I'll go ahead and throw these down here. So when I finish again at the end, I need to have what on top? Yards, and then what on the bottom? Seconds. In order for these to cancel out, remember, they have to go diagonal. What's the relationship between miles and what are we going to up here? So I understand we need to go to yards, but if I look at my chart, I don't really have a conversion going from yards, I think it was, I'm sorry, miles straight to yards. The only conversion I have up here that has anything to do with miles is feet. So this is where we have to do multiple steps. I change it and convert it to feet, and then I have to use this one, so we have to do it twice, and convert the feet into yards. So let's go ahead and show what that means. So because these are diagonal, those can cancel out. So what am I left with? Feet over hour. Is that what I'm looking for? No. I'm looking for yards over seconds. So I got to kind of keep going. So I got to get rid of this feet. So guess what goes down here? It would be feet. What goes on top? Yard, because there is a unit conversion, a fraction for these two. So I cross out the feet, and guess what I'm left over now? Yards over hour. Again, I'm halfway there. I got the yards on top, but I need the seconds. So now it's time to get rid of this hours up here. So this time for it to cancel out, remember it has to be diagonal from here to all the way up here. Now I know everything's been side by side, but you can cross things out and jump over these two spots to cross them out here. So we're going to throw our hours up here. And what's the relationship between hours and seconds? Well, we kind of don't know that, but I think we do know about minutes. So for this one here, 1 hour, there are 60 minutes. So I'll cross out the hour here, cross out the hour here, and now we're left with yard over minutes. That's still not what we're looking for because we're looking for over seconds. So we got to do another one. Got to get rid of these minutes. So up here needs to be what? Minutes. And then what do we know about minutes and seconds? Because I think we can go to seconds now. In 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. So we crossed out the minutes. And what are we left with? Yard on top, seconds on the bottom. That means I'm done. I don't have to write any more conversions because I have what I want on top and I have what I'll need on the bottom. So now it's time to take all the ones on top, multiply together. So 7 times 5,280 times 1 times 1 times 1. Again, we can ignore the ones because we know anything multiplied by 1 is still whatever it is. We get this number, and then we multiply everything on the bottom. 3 times 60 gives us 10,800. So now here, we're going to divide these two and get 3.4 yards per second. So that kind of helps us with this particular one as far as multiple ones in this section. So here's an example that you can try. Go ahead and set it up. See if you can go ahead and get multiple ones. You can also pause this video just so you can kind of work it out yourself. But here, I'm throwing my miles on top, 60 miles. They cross out. The hours cross out here, so I'm left with feet per second. So here's my relationship. 1 mile equals 5,280. 1 hour equals 3,600 seconds. This is the same thing as saying 60 times 60. When you do it here, you might have an extra one, but I kind of went ahead and combined and said in 1 hour there are 3,600 seconds. So multiply everything on top. 60 times 5,280. Multiply everything on the bottom. Then once we get our answer, divide it, and we should get 88 seconds. So before we go into this section, I kind of want to run through my MathLabs Plus a little bit so you can kind of see how everything turns out. So for this one here, we're going to 2 different units. This is where we use the cross method. Again, here's the cross method again. So I'll put feet up top, feet down here. I'm going to miles. Fill in the relationship between the two. If the one is on the bottom, just multiply the top terms together. If the one is on top, divide the two. So all these problems here, we're going to be using the cross method. So before we get into the next one, I want to talk about this part here. This is where we're going to be using a 2-part problem. So why is it a 2-part problem? Because we have 2 different answers for this one. So for this particular one, the easiest way to solve it, and I'll use an example one. So the easy ways to solve it is just remember this setup. Divide, subtract, multiply. Divide, subtract, multiply. Remember those 3 steps when we have a 2-part problem. So what are we dividing first? We're actually going to divide the 100 feet and by the 3. Where did the 3 come from? The relationship between these two. In 1 yard, there are 3 feet. So I'm going to use my calculator to kind of help you see what's going on with this problem. And it's best to do all those steps in the calculator. So if I divide it, I get 33. 33 is actually going to be the first part of my answer in the first box. So once you fill in this box, I can go ahead and get rid of the 33, and this is where the subtract comes in. So you can just hit minus 33, and we should be just left with just the decimals on top on the back side of it. So remember what I say, the 3 things we have to do: divide, subtract, and what was the last one? Multiply. And what do you think we're going to multiply by? So you'll know, whatever you started to divide with, you also need to come back and multiply with. So this was a 5,280, you come back and multiply by 5,280. If this was a 3, you multiply by 3. If this is a 16, you multiply by 16. So those 2 should match. This is the only one will change because whatever is in front of the decimal is what we're going to subtract, because we don't need it anymore because we know that's the first part of the answer. So we'll go ahead and throw our 3 there. And the number should come out clean, just like this, no more decimals, anything. So we should have 33 and 1 to be our answer for this problem here. So we'll go down to the bottom. Here's my 33 yards and 1 feet. So looking at this problem again, just remember, divide, subtract, multiply. They'll give you both of the answers, 33 and then the 1. So let's move forward. When you do these problems, it's better if you stack them vertically. Horizontal, you can do it that way, but stacking them vertically is going to be helpful in these particular problems. And what you need to watch out for is sometimes when you go ahead and add them together, we get 15 inches. If you remember how many inches are in a foot, it should be 12. So I have a chance to move over 12 of these inches to make it into 1 foot. So if I take away 12, that should leave me with the 3. And then I convert that 12 into 1, and I'm going to add it to this 13. So my final answer should be 14 and 3 inches this time. So don't put in the answer up here to be 13 and 15. If you can convert some of these units into the first unit, please do so. So that's the kind of way that you want to simplify your problem. So I'm going to make a part 2 to this section 5. So this is strictly part 1, and I'm going to go and explain part 2. This is where we're going to be doing converting the same units together.